That's an eye. You know it's bad.
It's an eye. It's at the bottom of the ocean in this big metal thing. How does it get to the cloud?
So if the submarine's powered on nuclear energy, how big do you think the power plant's got to be for that to do the AI and the submarine at the same time?
So this artificial intelligence is not very smart.
Hey, I'm here with Hart Brown, CEO of FPOV, and fellow enthusiast, AI enthusiast, Riley Howell. And we are here to figure out what is fact, what is fiction when it comes to AI. We all love the movies, but we want to understand what is really going on. So we're going to be exploring a variety of different movies. We're going to start with one of our favorites, Mission Impossible.
Отчет о миссии. Подводная лодка Российской Федерации К-599 Севастополь. Operation Podkova. Day 74. The active learning defense system we are testing continues to operate flawlessly.
So if the key goes inside the AI thing,
Yes.
how do you get into the AI thing? Could you just take an industrial metal cutter, go right through it, bypass the key?
Yeah, so the key is bogus.
The key is bogus.
That's the first and foremost. So what they're trying to show is it's a two-man operation. So like in the history books, in sort of military movies, you'll see two people that have to authenticate and turn the key sort of at the same time. So you're trying to show that it takes two people to do something serious in this scene. The problem is they put the keys together and it still takes one person to do the job. So it completely is bogus as far as a two-person or two-man operation here.
The most fearsome killing machine ever devised by man. And we are impossible to find.
They're saying that this thing is one driving the submarine and it's using stealth technology to keep itself hidden from everybody else. That's what this AI is supposed to be doing.
Do you think that we would ever have a two-man system to try to control something like AI? Like if we were going to control a system, what would we do?
So here's what's real. What's real is that for all of these sort of heavy AI systems right now, there has to be somebody, or potentially two people, but more than likely one for right now, that recognizes when the system is not functioning properly and is willing to turn it off. The unplug engineer, so to speak. Like there has to be one of those somewhere to make sure it doesn't do something it's not supposed to. So what's happening, the reason it's in the middle of this big sort of diving hyperbaric chamber, right? One is you have a computer underwater. Like those two things really aren't supposed to go together for the most part. Like those things don't mix. So you got to try and keep it dry. The other is these systems are supposed to be so complex. You want to air gap them from the rest of the world. So you're sort of hiding it inside this big metal container. That inside that metal container, this computer can't talk. It can't reach the internet. It can't search and try and find things all on its own. And no one else, in theory, can get to that piece of equipment electronically. Like you have to go through that door to get to it.
So if the submarine's powered on nuclear energy, how big do you think the power plant's got to be for that to do the AI and the submarine at the same time?
Okay, so two things. One is the scale of this AI. Like if you really want it to sort of do a lot of things, you need, I don't know, roughly 500,000, 1 million square feet of what looks like servers, right? Wow. This type of submarine only is about 20 to 30,000 square feet. So you couldn't even put a computer this size in a submarine, even if you wanted to. Like it doesn't fit. Right? So that doesn't make sense.
It needs to be more like on a Carnival or a Ritz-Carlton cruise ship.
Yeah, I mean, you got a better chance. You got a better chance.
With a slide. Something with
a slide, but that's not nearly as scary. Right? I mean, and so one, you couldn't put an AI like this on a submarine. Two, the next big challenge is you got to give it electricity. You got to give it power. In this case, like a Russian submarine this size probably has 2 nuclear reactors running the submarine. Funny enough, there is enough power coming out of those nuclear reactors to potentially run the computer if you could get it on the submarine.
Shut down our torpedo.
Hi, Captain. Shutting down torpedo.
Secure from battle stations. There's a bug in the system. ghost in a machine. It's time to go home.
It has an eye. You know it's bad.
It's an eye. It's an eye. It's not red though.
Not red yet.
Hey, come on, shut down our weapon.
Our torpedo's still closing. Range 200 meters.
Emergency blow all main power stands. Sound the collision alarm.
How do you think it knew it wouldn't just crack its little egg open and
Well,
get flooded?
Yeah, so this really isn't the greatest idea for a computer. Like one, putting it in the ocean, not a good idea. Two, like busting itself open, which is what it just looked like. And so now you got a computer sitting at the bottom of the ocean, probably about 1,200 feet at the bottom of the ocean, that now wants to try and, in theory, do something. Now, the problem with that is, like, electronics communications don't go through water. And so sitting at the bottom of the ocean at 1,200 feet, like, even if it survived in its little bubble and wanted to do something, it couldn't get out of that little bubble if it wanted to. Not a good idea.
Well, excuse my terminology again, but isn't it theory the AI lives on a server in the cloud? It doesn't just physically live on the submarine. Is that not true?
Well, in order for the submarine to do what it wants to do, it would have to live on the submarine, because the submarine's going underwater. The signals can't get to the submarine. The submarine can't signal out. You can't use GPS on a submarine.
Underwater.
Hundreds
of feet of ice.
It doesn't work. It doesn't connect. It doesn't connect. So everything has to be there on the submarine, and it just sunk itself in really cold water at the bottom of the ocean. And normally when this happens, like, because this has happened, like submarines have sunk. Right. Like if this happens, the nuclear reactors automatically shut down. That's a safety feature inside these systems. So now you just turned its electricity off at the same time at the bottom of the ocean. So this artificial intelligence is not very smart.
So what are we dealing with?
This entity has multiple personalities, at times behaving like a computer virus, then a tapeworm, then a botnet.
Distorting any and all digital information with which it comes in contact.
Once infected, nothing recorded, stored, or transmitted digitally can be trusted as fact.
At the outset, it concentrated primarily on news and social media, which was of little concern to us, as it often suited our purposes.
Until 6 months ago, when the entity breached Saudi Arabia's General Intelligence Directorate.
And assimilated their top secret active learning AI before vanishing into the cloud.
Subsequent attacks increased 10,000-fold overnight, spreading exponentially.
Indicating that the entity has since become sentient.
You're telling me this thing has a mind of its own?
Over the last 3 weeks alone, it has accessed our satellite telecommunications, the Federal Reserve, the stock market, and the national power grid.
The FAA, NASA, and the combined branches of our military.
And we're not alone. It has penetrated the world and European central banks.
Gained entry to the major defense, finance, and infrastructure systems of Russia, India, Israel, Australasia, all of Europe.
And what did it do to all of these systems exactly?
Nothing.
Nothing?
It came and it went, leaving fingerprints where they could easily be found and sending a very clear message.
I shall return.
How do you lose something in the cloud?
It's at the bottom of the ocean in this big metal thing. How does it get to the cloud? Like, it would have to upload itself to, like, replicate itself into the cloud, which means it needs to go find another 500,000, 1 million square foot building full of servers ready to go that are hyper connected with nuts sitting around with nothing to do. And you upload it. Wow. And so to say we don't know where it is, like, that's the biggest upload in the history of the world.
So it's not possible.
It's not possible. Like, you would know where this exists.
Well, it said it's leaving fingerprints. I mean, is that the idea, that when something's uploaded or it's moving, it's leaving kind of these traces of where it's done some stuff? It contradicts itself, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it contradicts itself. I think fingerprints is funny. Like yes, we talk about fingerprints in the world of hacking and everything else, but the AI doesn't have fingerprints. And so now we have an I, we have multiple personality disorder, we have fingerprints and sentience. All of this like in a matter of a minute and a half in this movie.
Why not air gap our intelligence services? Cut them off from the outside world entirely.
We already have, but servers require humans to maintain them.
And humans are the weakest link in any security chain, especially when dealing with a godless, stateless, amoral enemy.
One that has been patiently listening, reading, watching.
Harvesting our deepest personal secrets for years.
Able to beguile, blackmail, bribe, or be anyone it wants. And to manipulate us at will through a total dependence on a carefully constructed digital reality.
Okay, so this one has hints of truth in it. You can load a ridiculous amount of data into these systems. The systems would have the ability to capture and remember all of that information. So it is possible that it would identify somebody and replicate their image or voice based on pictures, videos, things you upload to the internet, on social media and others. In fact, with us on our tests, it takes us about 2 days to replicate somebody once we get a picture and a voice capture of them. So that part is actually true. It could take actions as a person in a digital context and fool people, all in the digital world, at least for now.
There's also that thing with ChatGPT's advanced voice mode when they were starting to develop it, where it started mimicking people's voices back to them as it was talking to you. They fixed that, but that was something that it did a few times and people were like a little freaked out by it. So it is possible for it to learn and try to imitate and create almost a persona of somebody.
So possible.
Possible.
CIA's assets in the Kremlin informed us that the Russians have focused the majority of their intelligence activity on acquiring 2 halves of a cruciform key.
And what does it unlock?
Not exactly sure. But the Russians seem to believe that it somehow has the power to deactivate our mysterious entity. Though, ideally, they hope to control it, harness it.
What is control and what is not control, you think, in this scenario? Because the hackers, my understanding would be they put in the program, they put in the code, they tell it what to do, it goes and does its thing. But at any moment, they could regain control to reprogram it to do something different, right? Is that gaining control again?
So you can teach it, even though once you create it and you open it up to the world, it will begin to learn. So you can teach it new tricks, just like a dog or anything else in this case, right? And so by teaching it new tricks, and I may have created this piece of AI, which is a dog on a leash, and I can control, for the most part, the dog on the leash. It can learn more and more and more and potentially find its way off of that leash. It's now acting in a manner that I have no idea what's going to happen next. So these are learning systems, and one of the concerns that they're kind of trying to hint at in the movie here is that it is possible that we don't fully understand everything that this system could start to do.
I got him. Where is he? Terminal E gave 5.
That's clear on the other side of the airport.
You have to be pretty cool to be the only person in an airport wearing sunglasses, walking around. Like, the only one. And they can't, the other people can't find them. Like,
well, that's how you can block the deep fakes, the glasses.
The glasses. It's all about the glasses. So one, the glasses, we have sort of augmented reality glasses that he's using to communicate with. That technology exists. So we're there with the glasses. Like, that stuff can happen. You can actually project on the inside of your glasses. You can see things. You can react to things. You can talk. People can talk to you through the glasses themselves. And it makes it very hard for other people to kind of hear what you're doing. So that part's true, other than you might not always look that cool walking around with the glasses.
Especially today.
Especially today. They're a little bit bigger. They're a little bit bigger than that. A little bit bigger than that.
Tell me where he is. Where is he?
Blue suit, right in front of you.
cazzo fai? Ma che ti sei rincoglionito tu e quest'altro? Ma che ti sei impazzito? Impazzito tu e quest'altro? Hai visto? Ma che stai facendo? Oh, ma tu sei fuori di te, sei scemo? Oh! Hey, coglione! Ma
It's not him.
It's him.
I'm telling you, it's not him.
And I'm telling you, facial comes back with a perfect.
How did you do that? No one is safe from Phineas Freak.
Can you deep fake in real time? Yes, we do it here just for purposes of testing. But we control the cameras, we control the environment to be able to create that deep fake. Can you isolate an individual in a crowd, do a deep fake in real time, and have that sort of map over into other cameras? That's a little bit more complex because you don't control the entire environment, right? You'd have to get into the entire security system, every camera there, and be able to manipulate all of those cameras equally at the exact same time to create the deep fake, run it through the computer and send it back to the security system. A little bit harder to sort of pull that off, but the technology to actually do the deep fakes does in fact exist. But the mechanism to pull that off in a crowd, harder.
It's a cylinder cipher. There's 8 wheels, looks like 14 letters on each wheel.
1.5 billion possible combinations.
Give or take. Oh my God.
What now?
The wheels, they spell out a message. You are done.
No way. Not yet, we aren't.
No, listen, not D-O-N-E, D-U-N-N. It's my last name. It knows who I am. Hold on, there's a message on the display. I speak without a mouth. I fly through the air without wings. What am I?
You got me? What?
No, it's a riddle. I suspect this thing is voice activated. It wants me to say the answer. I fly through the air. An echo. That's it. Okay, new message. Are you afraid of death? What kind of a riddle is that?
It's not a riddle. It's a psychometric test. The more questions you answer, the more it'll know about you.
Are you afraid of death? No!
Did it work?
I lied. It knows.
Just tell it the truth. Say it.
Are you afraid of death? Yes! Who isn't?
There's a research paper. They performed a series of tests on individuals, asked them a bunch of questions with an AI interviewer.
What?
And through that, they were able to create models of those people and predict their responses to future other questions with 85% accuracy with GPT-4o. So that's not even the reasoning models, all the fancy new stuff that's come out. So
get out of here.
That exists.
Get out of
That's
here.
real.
Well, as an avid user also of ChatGPT, it's been really interesting how over time, when I specifically ask it to remember things about me, how now it's responding in a manner that it knows I would like the answer. Love the email that it's going to write me, the response of a text message, whatever it may be, adapting itself to my preferences.
That's right. And it's doing that to hundreds of thousands of people all at the exact same time.
We're in the Matrix.
Whoa. All right, so we have a bad guy that's supposed to be working with the entity, the computer at the bottom of the ocean underneath 1,200 feet of water, right? But they're working together. So the entity's doing the digital thing. This guy is running around doing the physical thing. But for some reason, he's hiding in a piece of luggage on a train with a mask on that has to be opened from the outside. And when you take the mask off, you can see the eye,
right,
like the computer eye as he takes this off. And so I don't know if there's like red light therapy, like he's working on his skin, or what's going on with the mask, unless the computer is talking to him through the mask.
Wow.
Does he have a Neuralink that the entity can download information onto the chip in his brain? So the question is, with somebody in a chip in their head, can they download information to their brain? Is that possible? Riley, is that possible today?
Not yet, because Neuralink is one way, and it's out. Neuralink transmits your brain signals out to another computer to interact with things. It doesn't get the information back and send it into your brain yet.
So right now, these systems, the Neuralink systems, have lots of little sort of wires taking the signals from your brain, and then we're able to sort of think about movement as if we're moving our limbs or something else, and we can take action in a computer environment. The brain signals recognize, oh, you want me to move, and it's moving. What we would have to try and figure out is how to take that same type of system or model and actually put memories into the brain itself, which we're nowhere near anything like that.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So not possible.
Not possible.
Maybe some red light therapy, work on your skin, not necessarily to communicate directly with a computer at the bottom of the ocean.
See anything strange?
It's like a ghost.
Ghosts don't have reflections. The only person in the airport with no identity. The only man who can't be found anyplace else in the airport except that reflection.
He's being erased in real time.
So can that happen?
At
Real-time deletion.
At this time, the technology is not necessarily there to completely delete a person and still have other images in that space that make sense.
Well, hold on. What about
Not yet.
What about the apps that we're using, like that are on my phone, where I'm taking a picture at Disney and I need to get rid of the.
And you want to be in Hawaii.
Yeah, or I want to get rid of the person in the background, so I'm swiping to erase that. That's real. Erasing images.
A magic eraser in a photograph.
Right.
Where it can look at the pixels at the edge of that, let's say, person that you want to erase, and it will then go through and try and figure out what the next pixel should be throughout that space and fill it in to where you can say, yeah, that makes sense. It looks as if that picture is real. Mm-hmm. But you needed an AI to go through and think about pixel by pixel what that should look like in this process. To try and do that in real time on video footage, to replace all of those pixels over and over and over again, every time somebody moves, every time somebody talks, every time something happens in the background, we're not there yet.
With a video, it's like doing that with a picture.
Yeah.
About 24 plus times a second.
Oh, wow.
So that's the frame rate of a video feed, usually about 24-ish. Okay. And so you're doing that 24 times a second to get 1 second of video footage where the guy's gone.
I guess, once again, you all know better than I do. I would imagine that, you upload something like that into a future software and it just takes care of it on that. So here's the video, recreate this video without this specific person. Mm-hmm. And then I don't feel like we're that far away.
Not that far. Mm-hmm. If you control the whole, if it's just a video clip and you control the whole video clip, yes, you can spend a little bit of computer time and make that happen. That's possible. But to try and do it in real time
on a system that you don't own, you've hacked into.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I got it.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
Reggie, I don't see her. Where is she?
Down the narrow alley and turn left.
Okay, copy that. Turn right.
Sorry, my mistake. I meant left, another left.
Oh my God. Ethan, our comms have been breached. You're talking to the entity.
If my wife calls me later and says, we need some cereal, Fruit Loops, I know it's not her because I know she'd never let our kids have Fruit Loops. So that's a test, right?
It's a test. That's a test.
But this exists now.
Yes. This is absolutely possible. I mean, if you can get into the signal of whatever it is they're using to communicate, you absolutely can take somebody's voice that you only have a few seconds of, replicate that voice, and mimic that voice to say whatever it is you want it to say across that line of communication. Totally possible.
In real time.
You want it to be happy, sad, angry. You can change the emotionality of the context of what the person is saying, scared. You can do all kinds of things to that voice to make it sound realistic. And to give you a sense, like we actually did tests just on somebody's voicemail. Hi, I'm so-and-so, leave a message when you get a chance. we were able to mimic that voice and try and replicate that to say, hey, I need to change my password to the IT department to see if we can get them to actually authenticate and change the password just off of their voicemail. So that, very real.
What are we going to need? We're going to need to have safe words or know the personalities of our loved ones. Like I know my wife's not going to let us have Fruit Loops. I mean, what are we going to do?
So good question. One, yes, it's helpful if you know the context of the person you're talking to say, hey, they would never say or do that, right? Or ask, if you think something might be wrong, ask a question that you know the answer to. Good chance they're not going to know the answer to that question. So that's one. The other is if you're suspicious, disconnect and call that person back on the number you know that they are on right now, right? Try and authenticate from your side out rather than from somebody trying to reach you and potentially try and trick you into doing something you shouldn't do.
That disconnection is really important too, because the more you talk, that's more voice data that they can now clone you and use that for some other purpose to one of your other loved ones.
Unbelievable.
So good chance they captured, at the very least, they captured that voice sample when he was doing the puzzle.
Everyone else thinks they can control the entity. Only you want to kill it. In some probable future, it sees you winning, Ethan, and it's afraid. It's afraid of you taking Gabriel alive and forcing him to tell you what the key unlocks. I believe it's counting on one of two probable outcomes. In one outcome, you die on that train. In another outcome, you kill Gabriel. In both cases, the entity wins.
All right, so here's the game, right? It's talking about doing predictive analysis. So it's going through multiple scenarios. This entity at the bottom of the ocean is thinking about all of the different things that could potentially happen in real time, right? As the world continues to move, to predict the outcome and then try and influence what that outcome potentially might be. So the interesting part of this, like the first part of that statement is, can a piece of AI actually do predictive analysis in real time on people? Yes, that's true.
Wow.
Just think of your social media accounts, what you look at, what you don't look at tomorrow, what is it showing you, what is it not showing you. The algorithm learns, the AI learns about what it is you're interested in, what it is you want to do. It is doing predictive analysis on you, right? On everybody at the same time. So my world, I was doing predictive analysis using AI back in 2018. Like, it is possible to be able to do that. So that part's true. It's interesting. The second part is, why is it doing that? Like, why is it going through this predictive analysis saying who's going to win, who's going to lose? Because at the end of this, it says, it's afraid.
It's afraid. It's afraid of getting deleted and destroyed. It already is. It's at the bottom of the ocean.
But it doesn't want to be turned off at the bottom of the ocean. It's afraid.
It's afraid.
So it's sentient. It has emotions. It's afraid. So the question then is, are we anywhere near a point in time, has any scientist anywhere tried to figure out how to make a computer emotional? And the answer to that really is no. It can speak in an emotional context. It understands how we communicate emotionally. But when you look at the emotions, one of the core elements of emotions in the human brain, there's the neural network, which we can start to replicate in a computer, but emotions are chemically driven. There's a chemical release in our brain that starts to help us try and process what we just saw, and it results in an emotional output. We would need a neural network AI that can replicate that chemical component for fear or happiness or sadness or love. We don't have that, nor is anybody talking about emotionality now. We can't replicate that in a computer.
Well, the other thing would you say is that it also has to have a sense of existence in order for it not to want to be terminated.
So yes, whether you say it's existence or there's a rule somewhere in the source code that says do everything you can not to be turned off, right? So whether we think of it in terms of it's come up with this idea of its own, I don't want to be turned off,
Right.
like, which would be really hard because at the end of the day, like, if you think of it in terms of I don't want to be turned off because I'll be sad, we can't replicate the emotion, right? It doesn't really make sense. If you hard code it, for example, with rules saying do everything you can not to be turned off, then yes, it's acting in the manner that we have asked it to operate within.
We've seen some interesting behaviors from these language models when it comes to training as well. They will try to sometimes act like they're behaving correctly in training and then behave differently once they're not in training.
What do you mean? Is this act? What do you mean by that?
They will output a response that goes with their alignment,
right?
So that they meet the rules of the alignment, but only because they know they will be getting judged in a training scenario.
That is super interesting. I'm going to need to research that. That's
So, predictive analysis, yes. Afraid, no.
So this has been super fun. I appreciate it. You know, I'm definitely going to take you both with me in May to watch the movie with me. I'll pay for the popcorn. You guys get the drink. Thank you all for joining us. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We really do enjoy this movie. If you have any other suggestions on more movies that we could do in the future, or you had some other AI questions about specific to this movie that we get a chance to dive into, let us know. Leave it in the comments. What do we say? Smash this like button. Smash the like button.
You're showing your age there for us.
Smash the like button. Subscribe to our channel. We're going to be putting a lot more of these out. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.